So my name is Anna Hamilton, and I am with the Samuel Proctor Oral History Program at the University of Florida. Today is Wednesday, excuse me, perfect time to lose my voice, June 12th, a little before 10 o'clock in the morning, and we are at the home of Miss Dixie Wilkinson here in Pensacola, Florida. We're here to talk to you about Superfund sites, the environmental history here in Pensacola, and your experience as a longtime Pensacola resident. I think we're going to call this project the Pensacola Environmental History Project for now, so we'll say that.
Okay.
And I'm joined by a crew of my students with the Gulf Scholars Program and our coordinator, Becca Burton, as well as SPOP's Deborah Hendricks. There will be an opportunity for everyone to ask questions towards the end of the interview, and when we do that, I will ask you all to also introduce yourselves and give us your name. So with that, will you just introduce yourself to us, please?
Sure. My name's Dixie Wilkinson. Born and raised in this area, grew up in this area. Retired from law enforcement. I spent 36 years at the Pensacola Police Department. My husband's also retired from down there. I'm one of 4 siblings, and let's see, just retired in 2008 after 36 years, and enjoying life every day. I'm kind of, a simple, easygoing person that likes to talk, apparently, but I don't know, is that, I graduated from Pensacola Catholic High and went a couple of years of college, but I like making a paycheck. So back in those days, I started in 1972 at the 71, 72 at the Pensacola Police Department. So been there ever since. I became their family member. So anyway, I think is that good? Or
yeah,
y'all can edit all this, right?
It was perfect. Thank you.
Oh, and my father, apparently, he lived here until he was 97 and a half years old, and my mom was 91 when she passed, right here on the corner. He was born and raised here also. So anyway, got a lot of history here.
How far back does your family history go here in Pensacola?
We came down where we have Portuguese. I mean, we go way back, and they filtered down on my dad's side from that part of the world, and probably either late 1700s, early 1800s, and my mom's side came down to Mississippi to New Orleans. Same age group, but they've been here in Pensacola for a long time, and it probably even goes back further than that. My cousin that was doing our history unfortunately passed away, and we don't know what she did with all her research. She was sharing it, but I could probably pick it back up. Just hadn't stopped long enough to do it. But no, we're long-time natives here.
Wonderful.
In Pensacola.
And will you introduce this neighborhood and this particular community in Pensacola to somebody who's not from here?
Yes. It's called the Sanders Beach Historical Area. It's one of the oldest places in Pensacola. We even had troops from the Civil War, I think my husband's better at this, come from Bio Chico and march across this property up to Lee Hill or Lee Square. And, and it's just, you got some old homes here, and you got, other homes that didn't get wiped out from Ivan. A lot of things got wiped out from Ivan down here, but fortunately we didn't. And it's just a quiet west side, and we're starting to be found neighborhood, because I don't think they can build east anymore, so they're coming west. But just quiet, easygoing, great neighbors. When I was working, it was very low crime area, one of the best. So, other than that, I mean, it's just been down here. My parents had their first dance in the 1940s down at the community center that was there at that time. It's a new one now, but it just goes way back in my family, so.
It's really powerful to have such deep family memories here where you can kind of trace different landmarks that are attached to your family story.
Yeah. My dad was a member of the Pleasure Boys Club, which I'm not sure what that was, but I have a picture of all of them, and some of her relatives were in that, and a lot of, but it was a bar at the end of I Street, believe it or not, but it was on men only, so it was kind of funny.
That feels like a historical pinpoint for us to revisit later and go do some research.
Right, it's no bar there now, but it's at the foot of High Street looking the water. They had a great location.
And what did your parents do?
My dad, he was an electrician by trade. He was he was a World War II veteran. He was in the Navy. He operated his own business from 1955 until 2017. He still worked down there when he was 92 years old. And he found, he happened to have a stroke, unfortunately, and that's the only reason we got him out of there. But, I still drove him down there every day, because that was his place. That was his business, and no one could run it better than him. And which he was probably right. But so he was an electrical contractor in his own business. But he was a kind of a jack of all trades. He could do back then, they learned all kinds of skills. So, but he mainly electrical contractor. And my mother was, she was his secretary down there, bookkeeper, whatever, and homemaker. So she mainly took care of us.
And what was the difference between you and your siblings? Are you the oldest, or where are you in?
I'm second to the oldest. I had three brothers and myself, and I ruled, trust me.
And do they still live here?
One of them does. One of them was killed in '96, him and his wife, on his birthday, heading to Atlanta ball game on 65. And but he was he was right under me, and the other one lives in Missouri.
Thank you. And you mentioned you were born and raised here. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us your earliest memory of growing up in this neighborhood?
Ooh, I was probably about 2, maybe. Dad and him built that house in '51. I was born in '54. Just being in the front yard, playing with my dog. I always had a dog. This huge oak tree in the front, always there. You have pictures of me and my Robert, the one that was killed, playing and all that kind of stuff. I do remember that, believe it or not. And I had a dog named Cap that was a German Shepherd. This property here, from here all the way where our shed is back there, and all this, and Kelly's place was all one family. We all grew up, together here. There was a huge oak tree. Unfortunately, the guy that bought that property decided to chop it down, that we all played in. Just great neighborhood kids. We all hung out in this yard here. This is our yard, And then, fortunately for my husband and I, we were able to buy it in 2011 and we only had this postage stamp. Stop right there where those trees are, and didn't even go past those trees right there. So we were so fortunate, because this is my life right here. I got part of my history back.
And can you say a little bit more about that when you say that this is your life and you're kind of gesturing towards your yard and your oak?
Well, it's other than having to cut it, let me put this on. Other than having to cut it, it's a great place. We had go-karts back here. We had a pony. We had chickens, and this is the Banfields, they had all that. I just enjoyed all of that, because there was no fences. We were all just we shared everything together. Our parents were close in age. The kids, they had 5 girls there. It seems like they all decided to get pregnant at the same time, 4 or 5 different times. And so we all had one of theirs our age. It was just crazy. But we played Tarzan and Jane in the trees, and all of us fell out, the tree once or twice. I didn't break a bone, but some of them did. And I swear I didn't push them, but I thought about it. No, just kidding. But it's just, this is all, I've left. I haven't never moved away, but when I went on different places, trips and all, it's like, I was so glad to get back. There's just no other place like home to me, I can't get enough of this. You'll find me out here. If I could do 24 hours, I would, but I do have to go in and do some housework, My husband can't do it all. But I'd rather do yard work than housework. But I don't know if that's a good answer for you or not. It's just, what's there not to like, in my opinion? Except the humidity, the bugs.
No, that's a great answer. Thank you. And I want to be sure to ask you about your time with the police department too.
Okay.
Can you tell us what you did there and really what drew you to that line of work?
What didn't I do there? Let's see. I started as a records clerk and just, process arrest reports, stuff like that. And then I was, for a few years, I worked in crime scene. I was there when Ted Bundy was arrested, helped fingerprinting. I was his type of woman, long hair down to my waist, and it was kind of freaky. And I haven't gotten over that feel yet, but the most charismatic person you ever wanted to meet. That is true when they say that. Of course, I had 5 or 6 detectives with guns around me. Wow. So I was safe, but I loved crime scene, but I did get the opportunity to go up. Well, I went in investigations, and then I went to the dispatch center, the 911 center and everything, and that I just fell in love with that. I loved helping people on the other end. You get a phone call from 911, you never know what you're getting. And it's, and a lot of people didn't make it through the training program, but I just thrived in that. I don't know why. I guess I just, it was my cup of tea, even though I loved crime scene and I thought about going back down there. I just stayed up there and became the administrator over the 911 center and the records by the time I retired. But I spent many years up there just, as a trainer, a teacher, a supervisor, and it's just a whole different world of multitasking. And, our town wasn't the biggest crime town in the world, but we do have our issues, suicides. You just never know what's on the other end of a 911. And I just, my heart was in it. I really hated to retire for that reason because I really enjoyed my job, but I knew I had to, I had to quit sometime. But yeah, and I taught around the state of Florida and the computer-aided dispatch systems you see with the highway patrol and all that. I was part of that, implementing that around theirs and a lot of different agencies in our department, Alachua County, all that. But anyway, that was my main thing. I stayed in dispatch longer than anywhere down there, and I truly enjoyed that. But you got to let those young people just go on.
I heard you say that you, maybe one of the reasons that you enjoyed that work so much is because you could help people. And at the same time, a lot of people didn't make it through the training program to do that kind of work. Can you just talk a little bit more about why you think you were so well suited for that job?
Well, it takes a very multitask person. And I don't know how I ended up being that way, but you have, you're not only answering the phones, you're answering your officers on the street, you're answering non-emergency lines. You got, when I was up there was only 2 of us at the time. And then of course we expanded. A lot of people would just get too stressful for them. And And I'll tell you an example, when I had my son in '85, you know, all the calls before that involving choking children or babies, death by the crib death and all that, it bothered me, but it never hit home until you have your own infant at home, you know, and that kind of, you know, woke me up, but that's some things too a lot of people really couldn't handle. Being on a phone call with someone that's got a gun to their head and threatening to kill themselves, you know, and they're out there by a tree because they don't want to mess up the house for their family. And, you know, you're talking to them, you don't want your family to find you that way. You have to kick in. And I just, you know, me being a talker, I could kick in, you know, and try to save their life. And sometimes it just doesn't work out. You know, you hear the gunshot, you know. A lot of people can't handle that kind of stuff and take it home. Fortunately for me, I had a husband that dealt with it all the time. He was a sergeant out on patrol. So I was fortunate to come home and say, oh, I can't believe the day we had, you know, because a lot of times I was up there working when he was out. He even got shot, you know, one time when I was up there. So before I was married to him, but still, you know, it's just your guys are your people when you're working, you know, but a lot of people just not made out. So I made we didn't have a training program too much. You sat with a seasoned guy and he showed you like, this is how you do it for about one day and you're on your own. As computer-aided dispatch and all the technology started getting a whole lot better, you know, I came up with a training program for dispatch, you know, and I made a video of all these calls. They were real calls, but, you know, we knocked out the addresses and stuff. And I'd put a new hire or a potential person. I made them come sit and dispatch for about 3 or 4 days and watch what we do. And then I made them listen to that tape before they even decided to take the test and go through all the background checks and all that stuff, if that makes any sense. Because, you know, it's not, you know, I'm not going to go through all that training and then you leave the next month, you know, because, and it happens. They're going to do it regardless. And so it was pretty intense, but I don't know if I'm weird or what, but I really enjoyed helping people like that every way I could, you know, and that was my life. It took him a while to calm me down once I retired. Keep me busy.
Well, thank you. Well, just given how much time we have together, I know this feels like we're jumping around a little bit, and I apologize.
Go ahead.
But in the vein of thinking about helping people, again, I mentioned that we've been reading about your work on some of the Superfund cleanup, so I'd love to kind of bring us in that direction. Let's start with like a question about physically where we are. Can you tell us how close we are to the former American Creosote Works?
You're half a block. Over on the other side of Kelly's house, not even, what is that, maybe 50 yards. And you'll see it. We'll take that, walk down this way, probably quicker. And you can see it's fenced off, it's marked caution, you know. So yeah, and back in the day when I was growing up, they didn't have it fenced. They had all the creosote poles. Every time it rained, the sheen would come down our road. You could smell it. You could see it floating, you know, the oil. Our cats or dogs, you know, back then they didn't have leash laws and all that. They would go in this creosote pool that's on L Street, a little ways down that way, and go swimming or fall in it. And they come home and we'd, no gloves, nothing. We would bathe them, you know, in the big tubs back in the day with soap. And we had no idea how dangerous it was back then. So, but we're very, very close to this. It's clean, you know, it's better than it ever has been now since they shut it down in 81 or 82 anyway. And they've put topsoil and all that. But like I was telling y'all earlier, you can go to the drain at J in Cypress and you can still smell it in there. And I don't know if they'll ever get it totally cleaned up, but my neighbor Kelly, she is really she's an advocate and she's really pushing, and y'all meet her tomorrow and she is a mess. She's a lot younger than me and she is a lot more energy. But I told her, I'll talk about the older stuff. Oh, and she can talk about what has happened since. That's going to be great, because that's a good that you're interviewing her to see where we are today, but.
For those of us who, didn't grow up half a block away and maybe don't know what creosote kind of smells like or feels like, can you describe that smell and what that sheen looks like?
Well, the sheen looks just like oil, like when you have an oil spill. It's all different colors, the rainbow colors. The smell is just a very unique smell. It's a chemical smell. It's very obvious there's something, and hopefully, I don't want y'all to have to smell it, but if we make it over there, y'all can kind of get a whiff of it. It's not as strong, but it's still, it's underground. I mean, every time it rains, it's going to be draining, Usually when we have a really good rain, it's very obvious. But today we might not smell it as much, but I think y'all all will recognize it. If you got a good nose, you'll smell it. At least I do. We tried to do a health study down here years ago. When I was 34, I had colon cancer. Had no idea, found it by accident because I had another tumor on my pancreas. It was benign, but testing for all that, they found I had a silent killer. I had no symptoms. So to me, I'm blessed to still be here talking to y'all. But I blame it all. I know I can't prove it, but I do blame it on what I grew up in, the environment I grew up in. I had this eye problem, all of a sudden, since '96. There's several people that died from different cancers around here that I knew when I was growing up, but they didn't think it was enough information, to do a study down here or anything. But I mean, they're doing as best they can. They're just not doing it fast enough, because my son lives now in my parents' house. Kelly's got a 2-year-old, 2.5-year-old. I don't want them dealing with any of this, what we all went through as kids. But I don't know. I hope I answered your question. I can talk a lot.
Yeah, no, that's great. We love prolific talkers. So you said that there's kind of a lack of health studies, or that agencies aren't moving as quickly as the community would like. Yet you've experienced some health problems. There's other folks who have died or who have fallen sick. Do you have a sense of the prevalence of the health impacts?
Well, you know me, because I did go through all that. To me, I feel like there's something connected there, because my father never had cancer. My mother never had cancer. He's 97 and a half, but he didn't play in it like we did. He was working. And a lot of older people here that did live longer, I just feel in my heart there's something. It does cause cancer, to me. And back in those days, I think it's, like I said, again, it's safer now that they shut it down and they've topped a lot of stuff. It's still, 6 inches or 12 inches under this property here, there's creosote, dioxin, right here. And Kelly probably touch base on that more tomorrow, but the EPA is finally getting around. I told her I might see it in my lifetime, because this has been going on for 30-something years. So I said, I hope I see it happen, that it's totally safe. That's a park over there. To me, they can just keep it fenced and cut and don't disturb it. But they built these new houses. They disturbed all the soil. We had to breathe all that. Nobody cared, and these are new houses back here. This is a brand new house, but they didn't have as much contamination as the ones right next to the office was right there, the creosote, and all the pools and all. But no one even thought about that, and they're still building houses down here. And the EPA didn't want to stop owners of their property. I'm thinking, they, I don't know, they didn't want to get involved with the private sector. And it wasn't just the EPA, the city and the EPA coordinating, but I tell you, you will hear an earful with Kelly because she has been right in the middle of City Hall. She's been right in the middle of EPA, and I just don't want her to wear out. Because she is, you know, she's when she moved in 2016, she has not stopped to get this neighborhood helped. She's an amazing person.
I understand. So you've mentioned a few times that like the neighborhood is being found and new people are coming in, and we heard you just say that there's new houses being built that's causing disturbance to the sites and the toxins. Do the new folks coming in, what's the sense of protocol there?
A lot of realtors did not bother telling them. The man that built this, it's now an Airbnb, which he lied to me, but that's okay. He was not told that he was building on a contaminated lot. I don't know if they knew it, but the man that sold all these lots that bought that property, his daughter lives on the corner with grandkids. He knew it, you know, the owner knew it. And I didn't understand that, but the tree they removed, which was, it was bigger, it was older than these two back here. What do you think happened to the big roots and all that? It went somewhere to make sawdust out of, and went in people's yards or people's, it was all contaminated. You just don't disturb things like that. You know, you can't. And nobody would do anything about it. They just, you know, money, 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 I guess. I don't know, make that money. But I felt bad. I told John, I said, you know, the soil's contaminated. What? I didn't know that. And the guy that bought it over here, he's right next door. I don't know if he knew it or not, but I let him know. I've been telling people. I said, just don't let your kids barefooted. Don't grow anything in the ground. Nothing is grown in the ground in my yard. My son never went barefooted. I hated that, but I wouldn't let him barefooted growing up here. So.
Will you tell us about when you realized, or you and your family realized, that there was this toxicity from the former factory?
Oh, I don't know what year. We knew when they shut it down. That was probably myself. Oh, sorry, I keep hitting that thing. Myself, back probably in the early '80s. Actually, probably before, you know, they shut it in '81. In the '70s, '60s, we grew up, we didn't have a clue, you know. We knew it stunk, we knew it was sticky, it's like tar, you know. But more things started coming out, you know. The big Superfund sites were being listed, and we were in the top 10. I went, okay, that's great. And, you know, then, you know, the light bulbs went off, and I lived in the North End for a while, and moved back here in '85. And I bought this house in '91. I moved in with my parents for a little bit. And that's when it all started sinking in. And then, of course, you know, I started looking and reading up on it and all that, because I had a child, you know, and I said, oh no, you know, and then all of a sudden everybody was waking up. You know, I don't know, I couldn't give you the exact timeline because, you know, I can't do that, but I could look it up. But we've just been more cautious now since the mid '80s, since my son was born. But. Yeah,
you've given us a few examples of the ways that you've changed, the way that changed your everyday life.
Oh yeah, I'd love to have I have plenty of room for a big vegetable garden out here, but I can't do it. I wouldn't do it. Now, having said that, my parents had pecan trees, and we tested them, and they were good. The pecans were all good, but it's a hit and miss kind, because the plume you just didn't know where the plume was going. I know it went down J Street, and I know the sheen went down I Street, but where that pool was, I'll give you an example. When they built the condos at L and Cypress, I can't remember what year, but they put this picket fence up on the south side of it. the creosote was turning it black. And they were right south of the pools. So think about that, how thick it was. So, and I wish I could remember, I'd have to look on the property thing to see what year they were built. But it was something. It was, and you walk down the sidewalk, you could just smell it, you know. I just can't remember what year, but it's been quite a while ago. They have taken the fence down, but no, that's just how, you know, until it didn't stay. Every time it rained, it overflowed the pools. And where did it go? South into our bay. There was a creek that ran down through the yacht club. And it was a real beautiful creek, but it smelled like creosote, going right into the mouth of Bio Chico that I grew up in. You know, it's come a long ways, though. I have to give credit where credit's due. They have made an effort. It's not a very fast effort, but funding is the biggest thing with EPA, you know, unless they get it allocated with funds, they can't do nothing. Their hands are tied. So it starts at the top, filters out, so.
So when you say they in reference to the cleanup, you're talking about the EPA?
The EPA, but they start from the very beginning up at Washington, whatever, you know, the congressmen, all them, they have to all agree on it. And how's that going these days, you know, but yeah, and I do think we finally got, and Kelly can touch base more, over 40 million to finally start cleaning up the neighborhood like it should be. It's just a matter of when they're gonna start that. It keeps getting pushed back. So she can touch base on that because she's really up on that. She's right in the middle of it, and I love it.
Right.
But
again, I kind of want to zoom into that time where, like, the creosote works is maybe being closed, Pensacola's being in the headlines because of some of the Superfund sites that are here in the National Priorities list, and what's happening in the neighborhood. Can you tell us about some of the conversations that are happening in the community, some of the concerns, some of the plans of action that maybe people are talking about?
Well, back then, a lot of people were just kind of, and some of the old school people, they weren't too worried about it. Been here all my life, I ain't worried about it, ain't killed me yet, that kind of attitude. But now, I mean, since Kelly's moved in and all, she has put the word out, she's put flyers out, she's got a history of the creosote, you know. Oh, there's my baby. He's a green herons.
Oh.
They were born right here in this tree. He's on the fence there, you see him?
Can't see him. Can you all see him?
Can y'all see him on the 6-foot post? That's one of 3, but the mockingbirds don't like him. But he's I'm sorry, they were born right here. But I don't know where I was. But anyway, she's made as new people move in, you know, we're given the information, you know, and everything. It wasn't like that back in the day. You know, we'd have our little meetings down here and we'd talk about it, but we had people from the EPA come and say, oh yeah, we're on top of it, blah, blah, blah. But this has been going on since, I don't know, since they closed it, basically. But we do notify new residents and let them know what they're moving into. And I want to say some realtors have told the new people, but usually the newest people, besides these, live south of Cypress and they're over that way, so they're not in the plume or their yards are not contaminated. But it's just mainly the ones right here along Pine Street up to L. So we just try to stay on top of it. Everybody should be aware about this time, I'll tell you that much.
Did you notice a lot of people move out at any given time, given the risks, as people were learning more and more?
I haven't really noticed that. Now, we have rentals down here, so it's not the people that used to own the homes like me or my parents. There's only very few of us left that haven't moved away. A lot of people have Airbnbs now down here. We got 2 right here. There's rentals. So no, I haven't. You know, I know people come and go. I mean, there's some houses that people live in them a couple of years and they put a resale, try to get their money back and move. A lot of Navy, you know, so it's hard to tell. I don't, if I was to guess, I wouldn't think they were moving because of that. Since it's been closed and it's not active, they'd probably move if it was still running creosote down there. But
was moving away something that was ever on your radar or a decision that you and your family talked about making?
Never even consider it. I never have. And my husband's not from here. He's from Crestview, believe it or not. He's now a water bug and a boat bug because, you know, he had no choice. But anyway, he doesn't even want to ever move from here. We're just very happy. I mean, of course, we're later in life now, you know, and all, but even when I was working and all that, this is my hood, I call it. This is my hood, you know. Welcome to the hood. But it's just so, you know, there's so many different places that we could have went, you know, but we just never had the desire. I mean, this is Central Base, you know. I just love it. I'm very passionate about my neighborhood. But, and I told my son, and he's got 2 daughters, I said, when we're gone, you just remember, if y'all think about anything about my trees, I will come back and get you. I think they believe me. But no, I just, you always have a nice breeze pretty much down here, coming down J or I and through the yard. And it's just, it's a beautiful place down here. And it was very unknown for a long time, like I said. And then Pensacola, downtown Pensacola is great. It was dead when I was growing up. When I was, you know, it was like all the stores closed at 5. If you didn't get down there, you're out of luck. You know, you didn't have these nice restaurants and beautiful things to see. And my grandmother's house on my mother's side is down in Seville Square, behind the oldest church. Have y'all been down there at all?
We haven't seen it this trip.
We're going to have lunch at Seville Quarter today.
Okay, so a block to the east, there's a big square called Seville Square. Well, my grandmother's house is on Zaragoza Street, and it's the Lear Roachblade house. It was, I think at one time, the governor's mansion back in the Civil War days. It's just very special to us, and my mother and her brothers, you know, sold it to the Historical Society, so now it's a museum, which would make my grandmother very happy because she ran off a lot of realtors and developers and lawyers and such that wanted to buy her out, and she'd go with a broom. She was 4'11" power punch, and she ran a boarding house for men only, and I have the sign back there in our shed. She was something else. She said, couples fight. No, that ain't gonna happen. So, but I have a lot of history down here. I really do. And she was 91 when she passed too. She was born in 1897. So anyway.
My last question, and then I want to have a few minutes where folks can ask questions, but because we're so close to the former site, and because you remember what it was like in operation, can you describe what it was like in kind of its heyday?
Well, you had a bunch of workers over there. Some of them rented place. There was a little apartment place over here across the street. And you would see them when they got off work, they were covered in creosote. They'd come down. We had a little store on the corner, you know, they go get their drinks or, you know, their lunches, whatever. You would always see them walking down I Street, just covered in creosote. You could, when the wind comes from the north, that's all you smelt. It's kind of like a lumber company you smell when they're doing the treated wood. It's powerful, you know. It would come down this way. It was a lot of piles where, matter of fact, they had all these creosote posts piled up high in rows, and you could walk through them. And we would walk through them, and we weren't supposed to, but we'd walk through them to the ice house that was on Paracas and get some ice or whatever and run back through, and we'd get chased off all the time by the security guards. But it was not fenced, it wasn't protected, you know. At night anybody could go in there. But it's always a smell. It was always a strong smell of creosote. And they would dip them in the pools, they'd bring them down here, and then they would cut them up over here. You know, it was just that whole 19 acres worth. So of poles, creosote, whole 9 yards. And it's never quiet, you know. It was always loud saws and all that. But that's what I mainly remember is the poor guys that worked there, you know, just, and they didn't, as far as I remember, none of them made it past probably their 60s. But I can't verify that. But we used to talk to them all the time. They were really nice people. But
Do you remember how many people worked there?
ooh, they had a lot of people. I couldn't give you a perfect number, but any given time, they probably had 20, 30 people working because you had them dipping, you had them sawing, you had them stacking. So, and that was a major operation, getting all them posts, loading. So, but that would be a guess,
Thank you.
what I can remember.
Thank you. I can talk to you for like weeks, I feel like, but I want to make sure that everybody else has a chance. I'm going to stick my microphone on this little stick. Does anybody have any questions before we head? Leah, you want to get us started?
Hi, this is Leah Johnny. Hi, Dixie. Thank you
Hi.
so much for your time so far. I have two questions for you. So the first one was seeing all the birds and the wildlife in your backyard, it's very obvious that you have a very loving and parental care for them. Did you ever take any additional steps to take care of them because, you know, they live their lives eating from the contaminated soil that you were talking about?
Well, we have bird feeders out, and they mainly stay up there. But I've taken a lot of fledglings out of here and taken them to the wildlife center mainly because the cats. I don't want nothing to happen to them. But yeah, not anything particular. They probably have it better than a human would be eating off the ground, you know, because they're resilient, these birds. But yeah, we have pelicans, we have blue herons. That was very cool to see a green heron come and make a nest right here where we sit and watch it. The nest is still up there, but I had 3 chicks in it. You know, if we find anything like that, we rescue it because you know, a lot of people say, leave alone the mother. No, the first thing it's going to do is a feral cat's going to grab it, you know. That's why we're teaching Griffin there how to chase cats, by the way. We had another Australian Shepherd we lost in December. He was 12, and he was the cat mom. Oh, man, there was no cats in this yard. Birds were safe, you know, but now we got one in training. I do want y'all to meet him before y'all leave. But no, I mean, as far as, I hope I answered your question. We love our birds. You know, my mother, believe it or not, she'd sit on her front porch and you had cardinals come eat out of her hand. Squirrels would come eat out of her hand. We have a family of about 6 squirrels in that middle tree that just run around the tree all the time. And I haven't really seen any like deformities or anything like that. They're all pretty healthy. Of course, they eat real well over here with my husband. 2 feeders out there. But hopefully I answered your question. But
You did, thank you. And my second question is, in the beginning you had said that you admired Inside Climate Change for how they reported you and you called them very sweet. So amidst all the media attention that Pensacola received, how did you feel about it? How did you feel about being on national news and being reported?
Well, I wasn't expecting it that big, you know, but they are very adamant about getting people to realize what's going on, and I admire them, and it didn't bother me at all. Like I said, okay, let me start. My dad was a politician, if that tells y'all anything. He was a county commissioner and city councilman for years. He was actually an honest one, so get that. So I think I took after him. So that doesn't even bother me. I mean, you know, I want the word to get out. I want people to know we have got to save the environment for you people and your kids and your grandkids, you know. I get real passionate about that, and see, I'm getting teary-eyed. But anyway, it's just, you know, I'm so about the environment. And I mean, at my age, can I do too much about it? But you guys y'all are the upcoming stewards to keep this earth the way it is. And climate, they are great. I mean, they are just a great group of people too. And I can't say nothing bad about it. I tell you, they were very sweet.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I can rattle too. Y'all gotta cut me.
Hi, I'm Madison. I wanted to ask, could you talk a little more on how the popularity in tourism being brought into your neighborhood has changed your community's plan of action on spreading awareness about the American creosote works?
Ooh, I don't think it's changing our action. We're getting the word out a lot more. I mean, like I said, I keep going back to Kelly. She is not a nonstop printer. She prints out all the information. It's on websites at the libraries, full of it. But we get our little association. It's not a HOA kind of thing. It's just meet and greet and have fun kind of meetings once a month, and we talk about it there, and a lot of times we get the EPA to come out and talk when we can get them over here. And but no, I mean, it hasn't changed too much. Everybody's still pretty laid back, here, even the ones that are moving in and all. And it's a lot of young people moving in, which is great, But I don't see really a whole lot of change, but other than the fact we are letting everybody we know what's happening,
Thank you.
I hope I answered it. I don't.
Hey, my name is Amelia Sewell, and I just wanted to ask you to expand a little bit more on how you would notify the residents about the toxicity here, and just what made you feel like that was your responsibility to take on.
Well, I got roped in. No, I didn't get roped in. Kelly and I have walked the neighborhood handing out flyers. We even got in trouble with the post office because we was putting them in the mailbox. You can't do that, by the way, federal law. But so we started putting them indoors and all that. And if anybody was home, we could talk to them. And it was about the creosote, the history, what's being done. And we have a great handout she has. And make sure you get one from her. And we just walked the whole neighborhood from where we know the creosote came and all that, the Sanders Beach area, down East Street, every side street, south of here and all that stuff, and down Cypress. We just made contact with people that we thought were living there. Some were, like I said, Airbnbs, but we tried to make contact with the owners too, and just let them be aware of it. But does that make sense?
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hi, this is Hannah Boker. I was just wondering, with your passions about the environment and obviously the factory right by your house, are your feelings directed at anyone in particular or any group in particular?
Like feelings like I want to go strangle somebody, or just no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I mean any resentment or just really however you feel about the situation.
No, I know it's come a long ways. It is getting better. And I'm one that I'm not going to go ruffle feathers, because then you don't get anything done. I'm a firm believer of that. You just smile and you just, take what you can get, and you'll be surprised you'll get a lot more. The Blues are practicing, y'all. I'm sorry.
No, that's exciting.
They start at 10:30, sorry. But no, I mean, I don't have any resentment at all.
Let's do one more question and then we'll switch gears. And as we walk, we can keep asking questions.
Okay, yeah.
Hi, I'm Caitlin, and I was just wondering, it seems like you grew up in a very close-knit community with your neighbors, and I was wondering if the knowledge of the creosote changed the community dynamics at all.
Not back when I was growing up, because none of us knew anything. We were all had no idea what was going on. And I don't think the whole city of Pensacola had any clue. But the one over there on Palafox Street, the Superfund site, the plume went into Biotahar. I mean, until it all broke loose, you know. But no, we had a blast. I mean, like I said, we snuck through the Creosote. We had a great bunch of kids down here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And let me, we'll keep talking, but Dixie, just since we've been having this conversation, is there anything else that you want to add while we're all here together that maybe we didn't think to ask about?
Oh, I think y'all have touched base on them a pretty good bit, you know. Like I said, I could sit here all day and talk. But no, y'all done an excellent job. And again, it's all about you guys, and it's all about the future generations. And, you know, I can't thank all of you enough to be so interested in this and keep pushing, because that's what it's going to take. You got to roll up them sleeves and keep pushing and get attention. You know, it's an uphill battle, I can tell you that. But you know what? We're climbing that hill, and just keep pushing it. And I appreciate all of you for being interested and taking the time to talk to this woman. You know, it's what it is. But no, that's, I mean, it's what you see is what you get around here, and it's not a bad place. And I thoroughly enjoyed living here all my life, and I wouldn't live anywhere else.
Well,
I do like the mountains though, but that would be my second choice if Hurricane 5 came here. But no, I'm just kidding.
Knock on wood.
Oh man, I have all these years.
So we'll follow you.
Oh, okay. Follow
Thank
me.
you.
You're welcome. This is Uncle Charles, in case y'all are wondering. That cactus came from my husband's aunt's husband that gave him a piece to his mother that passed on to his sister that passed on to us. So that's Uncle Charles. That's what we call him. I know, we're crazy. Just got to ignore us. So we are walking towards the American Creosote plant. Am I supposed to be talking?
Yeah, that would be great.
Oh, okay.
You're a natural.
And like I said, it's 19 acres. What you're seeing, the mound there, is a bunch of old dirt they piled up and then put a cap on it and contain it. And there's plans to make a park, a passive park, where nothing can be grown, no trees, anything like that, because you can't dig through the cap. So if you can, in your imagination, down there on this end was where all the creosote pools were, big pools, and when I get that picture, I will send it to y'all. And then you had logs after logs piled up all the way down, and then on this side you had the sawmill where they cut them and stacked them for each size, mainly as telephone poles were creosote poles. There they are, up there. It's one of them. But yeah, see, y'all are special. They're putting a show on for y'all, the Blues. So as we, if y'all want to, y'all feel like going around the whole block? Okay. This is probably the only dirt road left in the city that's not been paved, which that's fine with me, because you know what? We got enough traffic. But they do use it as a dumping ground sometimes. But this thing goes all the way to where that building is over there. That's on the other side of L Street, and then back to F Street that way. The plan is, like I said, to make a park here eventually. They're supposed to clean out all the neighborhood yards around here that were contaminated and pile it over here somewhere. We're still trying to figure out how that's going to work and cap it. The office of the creosote was over here on the other side of this house on J Street. And this is, like I said, a fairly new house.
Is a park in line with what you would hope to see?
Well, they did let the neighborhood association and the people around here have a say in it of what we wanted. So we put it out there and they voted, and it's pretty, you know, it's as good as it's gonna get, you know? There's not much you can do about that. This was the office of the American Creosote. That was the office back in the day when it was active. And this is the back of our property here, where that big tree is there. Like I said, an Airbnb. Oh, anyway, I can't say nothing bad. I'll try not to. Anyway, so down here where I'm taking y'all, and you can see a lot of sinkholes. They had re-ran the creek that I was talking about earlier at the yacht club. Down, they got this bright idea to stop it from going in the yacht club and reroute it down Cypress Street to I and then into the bay. Well, since they did that, we got all these sinkholes. Don't fall in one. Here, the ground is, you know, just sinking away. It's horrible down here. But this drainage thing right here is what I was hoping. I don't want to smell y'all out, but I was hoping you could smell a little hint of what it smells like. And these people have been trying to sell this lot but because of the contamination, they haven't been able to sell it. Not for what they want. Okay. All right, let's see. Don't fail me because I talked about you. We ain't had any rain, so I'm probably not gonna get a whiff of it. I always get a whiff of it though. I don't smell it now, that figures. But this is one of the drains that stink on any given day. You might get a little whiff of this, but it's not a lot, but I wouldn't. But it's just a very weird smell. Can y'all smell it?
Yeah.
Okay.
What does it smell like? Like kerosene?
Yes. Good way to put it.
Yeah.
It's just a little tint of it, just a little tint. But yeah, I can smell it. Just a little bit of tint. But anyway, that's nothing compared to what it was when it was active. I mean, but anyway, I know y'all are burning up.
Sorry.
We'll go down the sidewalk so you don't have to walk in the dirt road. So anyway, the big pools, like I said, were if you go down there to L Street and take a right, they were right past those two-story condos on the right side of the road. They were huge pools, so. Duck. Here's them. You can usually see the blues flying if you go down to the beach down there. There they go. There's another one. This is probably one of the biggest magnolias in this county, if not the state of Florida. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. And I just hope whoever gets that property keeps it. We have a big tree ordinance here, so hopefully they'll pay attention to that. And another old oak tree is hard to see from here, is back there behind. You can see the big base of it back there. It's one of the oldest too, older than mine even. So. And this is a sweet young couple that built this house, but only the very back of her yard was contaminated, so that's a good thing. But they're aware of it. We sure made sure. And this is one of the original Banfell's homes. This is the grandma and grandfather's house that was built. And their son is the house I bought. And the other son is Kelly's house. So we were all kind of grew up here. There they go. That's pretty cool, isn't it? We get used to it, all that noise. We love it. That's the noise of freedom. And my poor son and his wife inherited this house, and there's a work in progress. My dad, he fixed everybody else's stuff, but he never did anything in his old house. So.
I was wondering, you said
that was,
you and your parents had a pecan tree. Did you know like anyone else in the area that grew like their own plants or anything? Or?
Oh yeah, we had a big garden over here, but he's got his house for sale. But you know, a lot of pecan trees were around here.
Yeah.
As far as fruits and vegetables, on the corner here, there used to be an old wooden 2-story house. A little lady lived in it when I was growing up. And she had the biggest garden. As a matter of fact, this is really telling my age. A man and a mule came and plowed it.
Oh, wow.
You know, every year for her, every spring. And she planted it, and it was right there on that corner there. But that's the only ones I know of. Everybody else has got raised gardens. So, yeah, this is a work in progress. You can see the cats. They adopted them because they wouldn't leave. And we got them all fixed and everything, but there's so many of them. This is the one I grew up with too. I was so worried when they paved this road that it was going to kill it because they chopped all the roots. But you can see an oak tree is resilient. It's just, it heals itself and it keeps on keeping on. It's been through so many hurricanes. It's just, you know, here before my parents, so.
It's watched you grow up.
It's watched me grow up. I've been on that thing, so. It's one of my favorites. That, my two back there. I've got a lot of favorites in the neighborhood, but other than that, other than the way back in my yard, that's kind of a tour of everything. I do suggest y'all ride down there to Sanders Beach and see the park.
Yeah, we're gonna have one of our interviews is actually gonna be at the community center with Keith
Wilkins?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
On Friday, so
good.
We'll definitely sit. We might stop and take them to see Joe Patty's just to.
Oh,
see
get
it.
to see Joe Patty's. That's where I go fishing all the time. I don't, you know, why bother with a pole when you have the freshest right down the road, you know, walking distance, so.
Yeah, so I figure we'll show them that before lunch and.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the tour a little bit. And if you go down to the Seville Quarter where you're going there for lunch, and go down Zaragoza, and there's a Pensacola Bay Brewery and the oldest church, and then my grandmother's house is before you get to the brewery on the left. You'll see it.
So is her house part of that tour they do?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We were gonna do the tour, but we had some things shift around. So we're not gonna have a chance, so we'll definitely walk by.
Walk by it. Memory lane for me, but you know, yeah. My son and his wife got married in October, and they opened it up for him to get some of his wedding pictures taken in there. It was just, I haven't been in since she passed. I haven't been able to. Isn't that silly? But I made a promise to them, I'm going through it. And the people down there said, come on anytime, you know, and it's just so hard because I spent a lot of time down there because the police department was right there on the Alkanies, and I'd walk there every day for lunch and have lunch with her and, you know, and see her and make sure she was okay. She's pistol. But anyway, brings back a lot, but it's a good thing that the museum got as a museum now because she is smiling because, if they would have sold it to anybody other than the Historical Society, she'd come back. She'd be up in the windows walking with that little bun, high thing. I'm telling y'all. But anyway, it has been such a pleasure talking to all of you. And again, y'all, I am very passionate that y'all are passionate, I guess is a good way to put it, that y'all are doing this. It you know, makes this woman feel wonderful. All right, well,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Y'all getting that AC. I know y'all hot.
You too. Let me
Oh, I love this.